all-time squads. This time I'm doing Australia 1990s. As I said before, no one player will appear on two squads. So if you see your favourite player missing from a certain decade, he's likely to be in the decade before or the decade after. I've done over 1,000 test players in test history. Not all the one-day ones, but I could go back and do some of those, but most of the people are here. This is Australia 1990s. I've done the 70s. I've done Australia 80s A, Australia 80s B. So this is the fourth video, or fourth YouTube upload. So here we go. Like I said before, you can find all of these downloads on Cricket 19 Cricket Academy. My username is Mousy Dread. If you want more up-to-date stuff, I mean, I have got them up to date as well, but there are other content creators that I feel I've got better at the new stuff, as in players playing right now. You can go to many on there, but one I definitely recommend is Waste Your Youth. There's another one called Dell88. There's another one called Blocker Dave. There's quite a lot on there. You'll see them eventually, but if you really want to know, go on Planet Cricket, sorry. Go on to Planet Cricket website, go to Cricket 19, then go to Cricket Academy, and then you'll see who's uploading what. And it's all there. Stadiums, uniforms, bats, everything is there. So here we go. Let's look at this squad now. So this one will be more familiar to cricket fans. Nice shiny uniform there, because there's more uniforms for the more recent teams. Again, not many play faces. There are some play faces in here, actually, quite a lot. These are play faces are the ones created by users using the technology that comes with the game. I don't use PC for this game. I use PS4, so I can't do it the same way. However, what I do is actually draw them myself, which has become a lot of fun, actually. Okay, so Steve Waugh was, I think anyone who knows cricket knows that Steve Waugh was a tough competitor, eliminated certain shots from his game to become less fallible to getting out. I think it was a hook shot. He just took the shot out of his game. I think Jeff Boycott did something similar, and they just became hard to get out. He'd rather wear one, as in take it on the chest or the face or the helmet, than get out. But he was also a superb captain. In 1987, he was a World Cup winner, and he was just an average player, decent player. But then by 1989, he just morphed into this "you can't get me out" player, and he just could not be beaten. I can't remember what his average was, but it was over 100, which is almost insane. Well, it is insane. And throughout the 90s, when he did take over from Mark Taylor, who is also in this squad, Steve Waugh became, like I said, he took Australia to the #1 position, for sure. Then you have, I mean, that's just an all-time legend there, Steve Waugh. Then you've got Shane Warne. What can you say about Shane Warne? Shane Warne was a charismatic, blonde-haired, slightly overweight player, and he's probably still the same now. He's just so full of charisma. But what really made Shane Warne a star was he was a leg spinner when it was died out. It wasn't popular at the time to be a leg spinner. He had a lot of flair. I mean, just his run up. It's like Mike Tyson walking into the ring. He was little run up, his bowling action, which at that time people weren't familiar with, and he'd call his deliveries all kinds of names: the Zoota, the this, the that. I'm like, whoa, what's this guy doing? And behind the stumps, his wicketkeeper would say, "Bowl, Shane," as he bowled. He was just pure theatre when he bowled. Right up until the last time I saw him play Test cricket, was 2005. I think he played a little bit longer than that, but I saw him in the legendary 2005 Ashes, and he was still at it, even though Australia lost the Ashes for the first time in ages. But he was essential. Box office, Shane Warne. Mark Waugh, one of the Waugh twins. So Steve is his brother. They're not identical twins. Mark is the more graceful batsman. The problem with Mark Waugh was, if there is a problem, was nothing more graceful to watch than Mark Waugh in full flow. As a one-day player, he has almost no equal. As a test player, he was superb. But he would get out in the stupidest ways. It's like he just lose concentration. That is like he was bored. But on his day, it's just devastating. As a slip fielder, as you can see by 98, he had, again, almost no equal. An outstanding player, Mark Waugh. Michael Bevan. Michael Bevan was a brilliant one-day player before one-day players become specialists. So it's funny now, because when you look at his stats, you look at and think, Well, they're not that good compared to what is going on in today's cricket. But we're talking 1990s versus 2020s. So we're talking 25 to 30 years ago. And Michael Bevan was one of the first specialists. For every reason, he couldn't do it in the test arena. But as a one-day player, which is here, see, one-day expert, he was outstanding. Look at his side so far. Mark Taylor. Mark Taylor was the, I just thought was a brilliant captain. Always chewing gum, spoken that Aussie way, I don't even know what way it is. Laid back, looked laid back, but in 1989 is when I noticed Mark Taylor. He came over as an opening bat, and him and Jeff Marsh could not get out. And if you got one of them out, you had to face Steve Waugh at some point. They just eviscerated England that summer. And you can look on YouTube and see that. Mark Taylor was a left-hand batsman, brilliant captain, took over from AB. So AB took them to success, then Mark Taylor took to another level. I think he has a triple century to his name, which is a rarity in Test cricket. And he retired on a score that was parallel with Don Bradman. He didn't want to overtake Don Bradman. That's how much respect he had for the Don, as they call him, Don Bradman from the 30s. So, honourable player. He's gone on to become a brilliant commentator. One of my favourite players, Mark Taylor. Not exciting, just dug in, but could bat and bat and bat. Then you got a player to hate. Not the best representation of him graphically. Glenn McGrath. Glenn McGrath would bowl line and length, that is on the stump, over after over after over, ball after ball, and he could bowl in what is called the corridor of uncertainty. I definitely have to redo his face. He had more spiky hair than that. I don't think the academy is updated the hair yet. But he was a terrific fast bowler, very skinny, lanky almost. And if you hit him, you could see him walking back to his mark, muttering under his breath. Brilliant. Again, it was pure theatre. Just brilliant to watch. And one of the greatest fast bowlers of all time, I might add. Not overly quick, just accurate. Tom Mooney was a very tall player that came around in the mid-80s. I think played in the 87 World Cup, I think. Had a decent career as a one-day player, as I remember correctly. Yeah, one-day expert. Greg Blewett. Greg Blewett was a... Again, this doesn't look anything like Greg Blewett. Greg Blewett was a fantastic batsman, aggressive. Probably should have done better than he did. He had a very good start to his Test career. I'm not quite sure what happened with Greg Blewett, actually. But that's how strong Australia was. That's probably what it was. They just had player after player after player. If you dropped out, you couldn't get in. Stuart Law was another one. There's a good example. Stuart Law was an outstanding batsman. Just couldn't get in the side. Jamie Siddons, another one. And I put these in here because the reason being, they are more famous for not getting in the side because they had that much talent. They couldn't get in. Damien Fleming was a sort of duck-footed bowler that would bowl accurate spells. Definitely early 90s star for Australia. Good bowler. Michael Slater. So after you had Swampy Marsh and then you had Mark Taylor, then you got Michael Slater. Michael Slater was just come to the crease and he would swing and swing and swing and bat and swing and bat and swing and run and bat and swing. And it's his voice you hear on the commentary, by the way, in Cricket 19. He was a terrific player in the early 90s. For some reason, for someone who's so aggressive, he never actually did well in one-day cricket. And of course, we never saw him play T20. But in Cricket 19, you can see how he gets on in cricket in T20. So it'll be interesting to see. Matthew Elliott was another person who could play. Again, never really got going in the Australian team because of the competition. But again, a good player. I think he was an opener as well. Shane Lee, the brother of Brett Lee. Shane Lee, excellent player again. Again, could not get in the side. You probably wonder, well, who took them? Again, looking back, we're talking all-time legends here. Steve Waugh, Shane Waugh, Mark Waugh, one-day international legend, Michael Bevan, Mark Taylor, Glenn McGrath. Before we get down to some regulars, Fleming was a relatively regular. Jamie Cox is another one. Outstanding player. Could not get in the team. The reason why I say outstanding, their first-class averages were excellent. It was just, like I said, couldn't get a team. Michael Benvenuto, opening bat. They played well in their Sheffield Shield and all the cricket they could get their hands on. But again, how are you going to beat the team? Here's Paul Rifle, interesting character. Rifle was part of that 89 devastating team that took over from, I'm sure he was, I could be wrong, but I'm sure he was, in that 89 team that took home the Ashes to Australia. And they kept it for about 20 years, or at least 15 years. He was excellent. He went on to become an umpire. Brendan Jr. was a left arm all-rounder that played, very handsome guy as I recall, played in the 1989 side as well. Yeah, he did. So, excellent player. Tony Doddermaid, I don't know much about, but I know he played. You got Adam Dale, good players, all good players. Tim May was a decent off spinner that played in that 89 side as well. Really good player again in the early 90s. I think became a selector, I'm not sure. Gavin Robertson, I have absolutely no idea who that is. I just read about him and knew he existed. And they played some cricket for Australia, so there he is. Joe Angel, you can see how high he is, tall, early 90s, fast bowler. Probably nowhere near the talent, reached talent he was supposed to. But then you've got another legend here, all-time legend, Ian Healy, Heels. Behind the stumps, like I say, bowling, Shane. That's what he would say when he'd field one of Shane Warne's mystery balls. Could bat as well when he needed to, as you can see in his stats. Excellent player, a very good leader as well. For some reason, I haven't given him any perks. I need to go back and do that. Now, uniforms, there's a few here. Again, I got these off the academy. If you just want the uniforms, I think you can go to the academy, look up the team, look at the uniform. I think you can download uniforms, I'm not sure. Or you have to download the texture and then fit it to the player models when you're doing a customization. It's not easy. Sorry, it's not hard, but it just takes a bit of getting used to. But when you're playing a match, it does give you the option to choose. And of course, all the grounds there. There's 6 on this one I've put in. The Wacker. So you've got the Sydney Cricket Ground, the Melbourne Cricket Ground, the Gabba, the Adelaide Oval, the Wacker, and the Perth Stadium. One of these is no longer in use. I'm not sure which one. I could be wrong. And on the academy, there are a lot more now as well. So that is Australia 1990s. Like I said, look me up on Planet Cricket, Mousy Dread. On the academy, I'm also called Mousy Dread. So you can download. Don't just download from me. There are many people that are on there. Just to see if there are any if you want to see the popularity of these things. Oh, I can't show it, can I? I was just going to oh yeah. If I press share, it should tell you how many times they've been downloaded. This might not have a lot of downloads because it's Australia. Oh, 79. Here we are. And of course, it's very niche because, you know, not everyone wants to play historical cricket, but they are there. If I go to 70s, for example, which is a popular decade for Australian cricket, 57, so nowhere near as much as the 90s. You get more modern. Now, if you're wondering where some of the other 2000 players are, they're in the 1990s players are. Like I said, they're either here in the 80s or they're in the 2000s. So let's have a look, because I know one of them. Where's Ponting? Well, majority of Ponting's career was in the 2000s. So I'm going to come to that in the next video. So I'll stop there. If you like, press a like and a subscribe, please. I'll keep doing this content.